Hello to this instructional video about measuring, recapping and infested brood removal by Isabel Grindrod and Stephen Martin. This is based on the BBKA special issue, and having that alongside you will really help you follow this video. First of all, we're going to be measuring recapping rates. First thing you need to do is you need to select a suitable frame of worker sealed brood with at least 300 cells on it. The age of the worker brood needs to be pale eye or greater. Don't use white eye or stretch larvae, they're too young. Just open one or two cells and you'll soon, if you can see the eye colour, that frame will be suitable. Bring the frame into the workshop. You're going to need a good source of light and magnification. You can use a binocular microscope or one of these handy sort of magnification lights with a built-in light, and that allows you to get a much clearer view. The tools you're going to need for measuring it, you're going to need a sharp implement, scalpel, razor blade, pair of tweezers for removing the pupae, and a paintbrush that'll just help you find often the mite in the cell. So the procedure: take the sharp implement and carefully cut round the 4 or 5 sides of the edge of the capping. Once you've done this, allows you to unpeel, flip over the cell of the cap to reveal the underside. So let's have a look at it closer up. So here you can see we're slowly cutting round carefully the edge of the cell, and then you can basically flip it up and that reveals the underside, and then you'll be able to see whether the cell is recapped or not. Takes a little bit of practice. So this is what you're looking for. So the top left 3 cells is a normal sealed brood cells. Top right is a normal cell. This has got the silk cocoon and it hasn't been disturbed. But the lower 2 cells have both been recapped. You can see that there's a contrast in the colours with the much darker and matte wax where the cell has been opened and filled in. And we've now illustrated this with a red line to make it clear. They're recapped cells. Now you can remove the pupae to see whether it's infested or not. We normally do this by putting it on something like a piece of paper or plastic. Then you can roll it around because often the mites drop off, just to check whether the mites attached to it or any of its offspring. So the signs of mite infestation you're looking for: first of all, any offspring or the mother on the adult mite, or in the cell there are the brown adult mites, or any of the offspring which are pale coloured, as you can see, varying stages. These are often quite difficult to see. Some of the clearer signs are the fecal pellets that you see. We've highlighted the fecal mass, which is usually around the feeding area, or the red arrows show the fecal droplets that often are dotted around the cells, especially non-reproducing mites. So that's the signs you're looking for. Now, for those that are more ambitious and you want to measure mite removal rates, the process is fairly similar with a few changes. The first change is you need to select a frame of worker brood that's just been recapped. So now you want ones with spinning larvae, so you can see the cells which are being partially recapped. That's the frame that you want to select. Uncap a few cells and you'll see they've got stretched larvae, and that's ideal. So the tools you're going to need, you need an acetate sheet or a piece of plastic just to record things down on. You'll need a permanent marker pen, some tacks, drawing pins, something to attach the piece of plastic to the frame. So you want to pin that in place firmly, Keep it nice and stretched. Can be a bit fiddly. And this will help you relocate the cells afterwards, which is otherwise it becomes impossible to find what cells you actually put the mites into. Once you've got the piece of plastic attached to the frame, you want to write on it the frame side, the reference number, and we usually write on which frame it is and which side's been done. You can now lift up the piece of plastic, and you'll need your paintbrush, a fine paintbrush, and this is to allow you to pick up the mite. The next stage is to very carefully cut a couple of sides so you can lift up the cap to make a hole just large enough to put the mite in. Take your paintbrush, you might need a little bit of water, a little bit of saliva on it. This helps you pick up the mite. You want to pick it up on the back of the mite so its legs are facing forward, and then very carefully slip the mite into the cell. These are live mites, they're running around. Pat the wax back down to try and seal that hole. Doesn't have to be perfect. The bees will finish it off for you, just enough so the mite can't escape. Replace the plastic into its original position and then mark which cell you've inserted the mite into, and then repeat this sort of 30 times. It does take quite a long time to do this. Once you've done that, you remove tacks, keep the piece of plastic safe, and now you're ready to insert the frame back into the colony. We normally take it out after 24 hours, put on the piece of plastic, and quickly check any cells which have been removed. This gives you an indication of the error rate, that the bees are not happy with it and throwing them out. Record that down, place it back into the box, into the hive, leave it for 9 or 10 days just before the bees are emerging, and then remove the frame again, and then have a look to see how many cells still have the mites or have been removed. There's a lot more details in the BBKA special issue, which gives you a step-by-step. So hopefully this illustrated guide will give you a little bit more help in trying to do these two tasks. Thank you very much.